Alrighty, we got everybody. Appreciate everybody being out. Wanted to just start out a couple things from the other day in regards to Robert Tonyan. I know he was carted off. It was a back spasm type issue. He's going to be working through kind of a lower back thing. We hope to get him back soon. He'll be out today. We'll see how that goes here in the next few days, how he kind of turns over. But we want to give him, especially with the preseason games, in the not too distant future, we want to make sure that we get him to a good place so he can take part in those. And then just as far as today goes, you'll see a couple veterans kind of working through a couple nicks from a pretty physical stretch there those 3 days. So Jonathan Bullard and Dalton Reisner will have a day today, and we'll see how quickly, hopefully have them back tomorrow. And then I know you guys saw Fabian Moreau out on the practice field. We've announced that move. He did a nice job, as Bobby McCain also did as well, kind of showing up and being kind of thrown right out there with the guys. Flo, Durante doing a great job, getting those guys ready to roll so they can immediately hit the ground running. Thought it was important to add, to that DB room, another experienced guy who's played a lot of football in this league. My relationship with Fabian goes back to Washington. I know the person, I know the player, and it was exciting for Kwesi and his group to bring in Fabian.
How do you feel about that cornerback room now and where it stands with Fabian in the mix?
Yeah, I think you at least, you at the very least feel good about the numbers to have competitive practices and not tax those guys as they're all competing, especially at that corner spot alongside, who's going to be out there in the short term while Shaq's working through his deal, who's going to be out there with Murph, and you'll see some different guys out there and different rotations with the twos. So it's a fluid thing. I think, as always, we're constantly evaluating, types of players that could be available to come in and provide, maybe a certain skill set, or even just looking at what the final roster construction might look like, where we may be able to, improve in any area of our team with potential free agents that are still out there. But I do feel good about the room. I do feel good about bringing in guys like Bobby, super versatile, safety, corner, nickel, flex, and then Fabian, who, has consistently, especially over the last couple of years, stepped in to some situations and had double-digit starts at a couple different spots. So I expect Fabian will, like he did Wednesday, hit the ground running and be a critical part of things moving forward.
Justin took a rest day the other day.
Yep.
Is he on any kind of maintenance plan based on the way last year went at all?
I wouldn't, go so far to call it that as much as, Justin learned a lot, through that process, post injury, and kind of learning a lot about his body. And I think he's done everything possible to have himself ready to go for a training camp. But we want to make sure, Justin plays a lot of snaps for us, and we want to make sure his training camp progression is the right kind of progression coming off of really a first time for him, having the type of injury he had. So it's more a matter of, the dialogue that he has with Tyler and myself, and making sure that our plan for him as we progress forward through the month of August has him, in his prime, optimal physical football shape, ready to roll, and while also still tactically getting him prepared, because he's a guy that needs to see a lot of football throughout training camp just because of how unique he's defended, when it comes to 17 games over the course of the season.
In a general sense, how do you go about kind of walking that line of getting the physicality you want and then structuring practices so that guys get rest? And what's your process like for structuring that as you come into
Yeah, we
camp?
pushed. We pushed the other day. That 3-day stretch was different than previous years, where maybe we're working off of a different template in regards to high and medium and low days and things like that. We buckled up and kind of had 3 significant days. I know only 2 of them were in pads, but that Tuesday practice was significant. There was some situational work there. So I've got a plan of how I want to push these guys. It'll always involve, over communicating on the front end of the expectations, challenging the guys to kind of lock in on sequences of training camp, which we're about to start another one right now, which will be 3 padded practices in 4 days, which will be, a critical time as we continue to kind of develop the type of mentality and play style we want on this team.
Has that plan, I guess, changed throughout camp? Either talking with Tyler or looking at health and performance data and that kind
Yeah,
of
it's my responsibility to make sure I'm, informed on where our team is at. It might not even just be the guys that are that I'm letting you guys know about. There might be some guys that are feeling some soreness, and is it soreness we want to work through? Is it soreness we want to be smart about? In a lot of ways, it's gauging, the dialogue with that player, what the medical folks are saying, what the doctors are saying, and then ultimately crafting a plan for that player in an individual basis while knowing I've got to get the football team ready to go. So it's a really good question, Ben, and it's something it's part of my job this time of year to gauge how to prepare the team while also making sure, we've got a team to prepare.
Kevin, what kind of role are you envisioning this year for C.J. Ham offensively?
Yeah, I think, his versatility, obviously to be the traditional fullback type is a real weapon for us. We, part of running the football better and more efficiently and consistently is figuring out the best ways to activate that 21 personnel when CJ can be a real tool to allow us to run some different types of runs than you run in 11 personnel or 12 for that matter. And so it's a matter of, okay, what are those runs, and then what other, maybe of our 12 personnel runs, especially early on in the year, that CJ can really help us continue to have implementation of when maybe we might not have TJ at 100% right off the bat or whatever his timetable is going to look like. So CJ's a weapon in many, many ways. His special teams value as a four-phase guy is massive to our team. But then also, his value in the pass game and being able to maybe limit, forcing a defense to keep, 4 DBs on the field. And then what does that mean for the Justin Jefferson coverage plan or how they want to play Jordan or Aaron Jones or any of those things. And then how can we build a system and stay true to that doesn't veer too far off path where it becomes uncomfortable for our guys week in and week out. More so they know where we're going to go, what pages of the playbook we're going to apply, and then make them feel really good about that plan that week. But CJ's a big part of our offense that doesn't always show up in snap counts and things like that based upon the game plan and things like that, but he's always a big deal to me as the play caller and even more so as the head coach from a leadership standpoint.
Was it a tough sell to have JJ take a rest day because he knows he's healthy, he wants to be out there, or is it just because of the injury that he's kind of on that different path mentally?
I just think it's part of, Justin's a mature player. Obviously he's done a lot on the field over these first 4 years, but it's more than that. It's that kind of pro mentality of understanding when he's working, what he's got to get accomplished, what is he trying to improve every single day, and then the mentality goes beyond just in between the lines. It's, what presence is he like in the receiver room, which he's been fantastic. I think he had a great guy in the room with him early on in his career in Adam Thielen, so he knows what that looks like and how much that benefited him. And then it goes even more so into the taking care of his body, having dialogue with Tyler and a lot of our sports performance folks to make sure that we can be smart and prepare him the right way without, as much as we can without controlling, without not controlling, I should say, the risk factors as you kind of hit that fatigue in training camp. Where do we push to while also not crossing that line and not handling it the right way?
With Justin, do you ask Flo at all to play some of the coverages you're going to see in the regular season, or does that just kind of take care of itself?
It takes care of itself because, we're such a matchup-based team that we want to make sure that coverage, we're going to play some really good receivers early on in the season that we've got to practice some of those coverage plans, and it makes no sense in a lot of ways to just allow Justin to just see base coverage structures and things that, although that's great for the fans in attendance because they can see him catch 100 balls in a day, that's just not realistic. So, and it's not realistic for me either as the play caller. I've got to try to help him and use some of the tools we have to try to manufacture some of those looks, and there's no reason to wait on those things because it's just not realistic. Over 2 years here, I've learned kind of what to expect in regards to that.
You referenced TJ Hockenson earlier. Where is he at in his recovery? And we've seen him running hard.
Every time I see him, working on the side field, it becomes awfully tempting to corner Tyler Williams somewhere in the building and demand answers on when I will when we'll be able to start implementing him, maybe off the PUP and get him a little bit of work, whether it's just simply individual, some routes on air, start getting him some timing with our quarterbacks, but where he's at, albeit very well ahead of maybe where some of the medical folks thought he would be. There is an injury there that a timeline exists, and we're going to try to stay true to that while also giving him ops to push to maybe shrink that timeline a little bit.
Even in a place where you can start thinking about week 1 for him?
No, not yet.
Whether it's yes or no?
No, I don't think it would be responsible at this point with where he's at in his rehab to start, even me personally, thinking about, are we going to have him, are we not? Want him focusing on what he can control, which is what he's done an unbelievable job of so far, which is his daily mission of just attacking this thing one day at a time.
Shaq getting close on back?
He's definitely progressing. I don't know if you guys, he'll be doing some more work possibly on the side fields and things, and start getting towards a place where we can get him back out there. Optimistic that'll be on the timeline Tyler talked about, where he can still have a somewhat of an impact for as far as preparation and training camp goes. But as you know, these days start flying by pretty fast here. So I know Shaq's doing everything he can, and was off to a really good start, doing a lot of the things both from a technique and fundamental standpoint that we thought he would bring, and also some of his fit in our defense was already showing up, and that's been my challenge to him, is make sure mentally none of that is lost during this time. So when you're physically right and ready, you'll be ready to go.
Better, but do you think he'll be behind because he's missing some?
I don't. No, I don't. And that just my short experience with him in the spring of, absorbing the defense and getting through a full installation, and then, how he's dialed in and engaged in meetings and walk through time and things right now leads me to believe he'll be okay.
Last couple. Kevin, when it comes to J.J. McCarthy running the 2-minute drills, what do you learn about him when he's running those, or the final drives? What does he learn when he's running those drills?
Yeah, I think it's, a lot of things, Matt. I think it's, the situation for that particular day. How does it change his thought process? But at the same time, the huge goal daily, minute to minute with JJ and all of our quarterbacks right now is, here's the play call. What's my job from a footwork, progression, protection responsibility standpoint? How do I make sure I, quiet the noise in my mind and do my job? And when our guys have done that in camp so far, really good things have happened. And, I think the big thing is, as he starts getting exposed to different things, as the installations get bigger on both sides of the ball, can he stay on top of it and not kind of hit that wall that sometimes hits players at all positions when multiple things stack up, and me as the play caller have a whole call sheet of things at my disposal that I can get to at any time. It's not necessarily those scripted periods, it's those ones where you don't know what's coming, and that's part of the development plan, and making sure he's getting a good amount of work, more percentage-wise, 2s versus 2s, and then less than majority, beyond popular belief, of 2s versus 1s work, and all of it is really good for him, and it's been a really, really good start to training camp for him.
Hey Kevin, how much does Justin's role include mentoring the other receivers in that room, and is that something you encourage, or does it just happen organically?
You encourage it, but a guy like Justin, speaking on his experiences with Adam in the room, having a coach like Keenan, who played the position for a really long time and was that guy in the room for a lot of younger receivers during his playing career, I think it's only natural. And then you throw in Justin's personality and natural leadership traits that he has. He cares about those guys in the room and wants to try to make sure we've got the best possible group of receivers that make this team. And I think he's taken it upon himself to really, lead that room. And I know I've noticed it, talking to a lot of the guys in that room, they notice it, and I think it's a huge positive for our team.
Last one. Looking at Ivan Pace this year from last year, are you seeing any new maturity and growth out there from last year at this time?
Yeah, I think it's just comfort. He showed one of the reasons why he was able to have the impact he did a year ago is he showed pretty elite football instincts and intelligence for a rookie, especially in our defense, and the things Flo was trying to do a year ago. Now it's a matter, can he pair that with the experience he does have, and some of the things we're looking to have him improve on? Can he, be urgent with that mindset of applying those things every day while not giving in any way, shape, or form on some of the things he's already proven to be really darn good at. And I think he's doing that, and I think there's still things every day, a second-year player, regardless of kind of your success level in year one, you're still going to have those moments throughout the day, throughout practices where, you're going to make a mistake. Can you move on to the next one and not make it again? And he's in that phase of his career as a starter and a major contributor for us that we're hoping to see and continue to see.